Do that. Okay. We're live. Yay.
Yay.
All right. So, welcome to After Church Tea Time, everybody who's watching. We are going to have a nice discussion on our sermon today, which is titled, My Mind is My Sanctuary. Hey, Chrissy. So, yeah, who would like to share what they felt or thought about the service today? The floor is open. Caroline, I feel like you're ready to go. Go for
I took
it.
a bunch of notes. I was like, all right, first after church tea time, have to get this down. Okay. Yeah, I had a lot of thoughts. I love the idea of our mind as our sanctuary, and that it's like I love the turning on the light analogy and seeing that your house is a mess and like not letting fear sit there, or not letting essentially anything that feels bad sit there, like, so there's sort of a cleaning process. I loved that. And oh my god, there's a lot. Also something that kind of hit me that I've been sort of pondering for a while, but Dan kind of like hit on it in a weird way, was just the idea of like, okay, I love the idea of the Garden of Eden, like that story. And I was thinking about the knowledge of good and evil, and like eating from the tree, you get the knowledge of good and evil, and it sends you out of the garden. What I got was like, oh, it's actually the knowledge of good and evil is just the moment when you think that evil is real. And that sends you out of the sanctuary of your mind, or that sends you out of the garden, so to speak. In truth, we're always there. Like, we're always with God. We're always in the garden, so to speak, in the house, in Dan's analogy. But like, what makes it really difficult is if you're entertaining the thought that evil's real. Okay, that's a place to start.
I love that. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's perfect. That's what I got too, like that same kind of scenario in my mind. Like, as soon as you start to think about separation or anything in that realm, like you get distracted from the truth, right? So it kind of pulls you out of your peace. And I really loved how Dan like really emphasized that the truth is where you can relax. The truth actually feels good. And that really hit home for me too, because I remember like trying to explain to you one time, like Colby was going through some upheaval or something, and he was kind of having like I don't know, like a mini crises, like, what is life? What is the world? What's happening? And I was like, okay. Like, he was asking me all these questions, and I had to like just get clear within myself, right? Like what he was showing me, and also just the truth within myself. And eventually we just came to the conclusion, like, why would you want to feel bad? Right? Like, why would you? That's it. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, feeling good is where it's at. So if there's anything that is in your mind that tells you to feel bad, or anything that's like presented to you in your environment, why would you listen to that? Just doesn't make sense, right? Because why would you want to feel bad? So yeah, we got to that conclusion, and I think that was like where we were able to relax, right? Like, okay, we can just feel good, and whatever feels good is the truth, which is really reassuring, right? So it just helps you like get clear on how to think and like how to be when like the truth feels good. Right? It's like a map. Speaking of map, hey Chrissy, I was thinking about map the whole time too, but I'll let someone else talk.
To go deeper on that, like a point that really like stood out to me was like when Deanna was talking about how like your mind is your sanctuary, like because you're divine, or something along those lines. And like again, like any bad thoughts aren't really you. And sometimes we can get mixed up, like, oh, like this is my voice, I'm so mean. But yeah, it's so helpful to realize, oh yeah, I'm divine, I'm not any of these bad things, that's the truth. And yeah, nothing can really say otherwise. Yeah.
Is one thing that occurs to me is, how is it different to not allow in the bad thoughts, so not entertain them in your house, not let them sit in your sanctuary, versus like suppressing them or ignoring them or denying them or numbing out from them? Like, is there merit? I mean, as we learn with the mirror exercise, like you kind of have to identify what that is first. I wonder if we could talk on that a little bit. Because it's not like we're denying. It's not like we're spiritually bypassing and saying everything's great. You know, like you still have to discern, like, okay, I see you, negative thought, and I see you're not real.
Right. Yeah, you've got to be honest with yourself, what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So that you know how to replace it. Right? Like when you say no to it, that's only part of the process. Right? The other process is like redefining your thought and choosing a new thought, like choosing a new belief, which is the truth, right? So like choosing peace or something, choosing to see yourself as a divine child instead of what that like negative thought was trying to tell you, right? So yeah, you do need to acknowledge it but not give it power, right? Just like detach from the thought so that you can let it go.
So in the house analogy, it would be like you turn on the light and you see all this crap in there, and instead of thinking the crap is gonna kill you and you can never move it and you're doomed to be in this house full of crap, it's like, oh, I see you, crap, and I do not choose for you to be in my house. I'm going to kick you out of my house.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll throw you away, crap. Goodbye.
Right. Yeah, because you have the power to do that, right? It's not really that big. It might seem like a lot of crap, but it's actually not that much, right? I think that like that's what MAP has taught me. Colby and I both just been through MAP, and I feel like where I thought there were huge insurmountable blocks is now just like a little pile of dust in the corner that I'm just like dusting out here and there, right? It's not as daunting as it was before MAP.
I hear that. I just did MAP too.
Nice.
Great stuff. Oh my god.
Yeah, it is. We love MAP. Yeah.
I was just like going off of what you shared, Keely. I was just having this fear that even if I would have been willing to feel good, and even if suppose I've been feeling I'm scared that this bad thought is stuck in my mind. Something that Marley had shared in one of the previous like live discussions. She's like, your mind is one with the one intelligence. So like I find a lot of peace in identifying that, like, you know, my mind is one with God's mind, and my thought, I'm allowed to align my thoughts to my guru's thoughts also. So there's like an immediate relief. There's an immediate relief that I feel in this. It's like, oh, I'm not crazy. I'm not, mentally ill or any of that sort. And yeah, and just like in Vedanta, like in Hinduism, there's like there's a phrase they say, it's Sat Chit Anand, which is like the description of God. And I was just like, I just went, as the sermon went, this came up for me. So it's like, Sat is the absolute truth, like God's truth, and Chit is like your consciousness, your like the entire comprehension of uh, of God. And Anand is joy. So it's like just these three qualities describe who God is, and who like what's your mind like who you are. um and it's just like your mind is joy, and your consciousness is of joy, because God's of joy. And there's a lot of relief, like knowing these things. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's very true. Like you are a divine being. Your mind is one with the divine. So you can really detach from those negative thoughts, right? They're not you. They're just things coming up to be healed. And I want to read Chrissy's comment here. I'm gonna open it up. So Chrissy, I think, is replying to Caroline. You allow the thoughts to flow through you and let them go. You can't prevent yourself from feeling these feelings. They must be felt. If you are suppressing, you may feel it's unsafe to go there. It will continue to arise in your consciousness until you choose to heal it and move through it. And that's why there's MAP. I shouldn't say that, but that's why there's MAP, right? Like if you continually like keep hitting a block, right? You're like, oh, there's something there. And you're like suppressing your feelings, like, oh, this feels bad. And you don't want to go there. It might be a trauma, right? You might need some professional help there to get you to go through it so that you can keep the energy flowing through you. Yeah. Let me check out the other comments to see if there's anything. Dane Joers says, is it like truth always should feel good, but not everything that feels good is truth? Truth, everything that truly feels good is truth. That's how I see it. Like if maybe you think it feels good, but if you actually check in, like maybe it doesn't, right? Like if you're actually feeling your feelings fully, you may not actually be feeling good, right? Could just be like a misalignment there. So if something feels a little off, like if it's not totally peaceful and relaxing, just go deeper there. Right? Just go deeper into your feelings and see what comes up.
This is interesting. This what is revolving in my head is a Janis Joplin line about you know you got it if it makes you feel good. But I keep thinking like, all right, so say I wonder if we could talk about like the difference between like drugs. Okay, say drugs make you feel good, quote unquote. And it may, for people who are in addiction, it's really hard often to discern like what is really good and what isn't. I wonder if we could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like what it is that you're experiencing a desire for comfort or something like that. And instead of just going straight to God, you're thinking that you're going to fulfill that desire through something external. right? And so you get some of that, you know, of what you're desiring through that thing, but it actually just ends up taking from you because it's not sustainable. It's not actually from God. It's not complete fulfillment, right? And so what the difference is there is that when you actually go to God, you're completely fulfilling your desire and there's nothing left out. And so you will always be completely satisfied and you will always feel completely good, and there will be nothing left over that's still feeling bad, that you still have to heal, right? And so that's really the big difference there, is that you just have to get clear on what you're really desiring and then go to God for that desire and truly fulfill that desire for you.
Yeah, within, right? Like it's it could be just a quick misalignment that you can heal with the mirror exercise, or it may be something else that you need to heal through MAP, right? To get that energy flowing again so that you can feel complete in that area where you're feeling incomplete.
Cool. Thanks. That's good.
Yeah. I feel like Marley has something here.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Okay.
say, yeah. Yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up is like that the feeling of bliss Daniel talked about after he like I loved his story so much. That was a great story. But like after he finally felt his feelings, he just felt like so much bliss. And that's the true feeling that we're seeking. Like if you might like use like try to get love from external sources, like that's never gonna be like the real thing, the real deal. But that's the bliss that's from God, and that's like sustainable. And I loved how like the people at the retreat were saying like don't attach to that feeling because you can have even more bliss. You can like go deeper, and you will experience more upsets or challenges, and you'll go deeper into that peace. And yeah, it's a nice high to go there and not be so scared.
Amen.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rifty. I feel like you have something. Take it away.
Oh, yeah. I was just right now feeling into like my video is having glitches. And how Dan said that you can't bypass your emotions. So if you have like underlying bad feelings, you're gonna somehow manifest an uncomfortable situation where you'll be pulled out, like you will be removed from the circumstance, and you're like, what's the bad feeling? Yeah, so I feel like that's what happened. Something like allowing the intruder in your house and letting him stay is I like that analogy. Like I can see like why it's so particular in diagnosis, like you keeping it clean, like keeping clean every practice, like every ritual, every routine you may be having, and even if like there's like a slight not good feeling, it's okay for you to pause and look at it, and you don't need to jump over thinking like this is what came up for me. It's like I want to, like, my desire is there to feel good, and my desire is there to be on the other side of the healed part, but I can't bypass looking at the mess, and I need to put my hand in the dust and clean it. You can't not put your hand in the dust and clean it just like without putting, being involved in that. So yeah, like that's what I was feeling. And something else, like even the example of the laundry room, and when Deanna was telling about like Shaleia can sense if the laundry room is open, and I can feel like even if you're saying, okay, I choose peace, I choose to feel good, and if there's an underlying bad feeling, you'll know that something's off. It'll be like that open door of the laundry room that you need to look at. So I like that. And yeah, being honest.
Me too. Afterwards, I watched this sermon a couple of days ago, but yeah, after that, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna close my laundry doors more often because we have them kind of like in the hallway next to our kitchen, and I wasn't like very sensitive to that before the sermon, and afterwards, I felt like more purpose in closing just doors in general, like even like our cabinets in our kitchen, and just being aware of like the energy that really like represents. And I know that when our kitchen is in place and things are like put away and like all the cabinets are closed, like just feels really good, right? It just feels much more peaceful and like an actual sanctuary, like manifested in the physical, right? And like I remember in college, it was the first time that I had like my own space, so I could really like get to know myself and like my cleaning habits completely on my own. And that was also like when I recognized when I was stressed out and not in my right mind, not in peace, that my room would just reflect that immediately. It's like, okay, time to clean, Keely. Time to give myself some space to do that, right? And just be with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to bring up a comment from Lisi. She said, if anyone reading wants to deepen on why the mere exercise goes to those places you don't want to go to and heals it when traditional meditation alone doesn't guide you there, check out Twin Flames Finding Your Ultimate Lover by Jeff and Shaleia. So like maybe we can go deeper here, like why the mere exercise goes to those places.
Yeah. Do you have anything coming up for you?
Well, it just like it's so direct. Like meditation is just you kind of sit there and you're like, okay, what's going on? But there's actual steps to the mere exercise that like, okay, like that point you to the mess, basically. When you're like kind of wandering in meditation, I feel like you're wandering around your house and you're like, okay, where's the mess? But then like the mere exercise, the mess is over here, you need to clean it. So that's what really like makes me like that's why I use the mere exercise. That's why like it's so much like easier to use for me, because like wandering around is a lot less efficient. But yeah.
Curious to hear Rev T's opinion on this, because I know you do a lot of the meditations. Like when you're doing your meditations, how do you feel doing them, and like how are they different from other meditations that you might have heard now that you're doing this work along with it?
Yeah. Like every time I sit down to write, there's extreme noise outside. It's loud and it's noisy, and it makes me feel my feelings. I have to go through feeling shitty feelings, and only when I only when I actually go through the entire process of mirror exercising and still like till I find peace, it's like I'm not allowed to send the recording, or like something happens, like I have to redo it, or there were times when before I had to redo it, or the voice is broken, or it's like low, and these things. And it's like you can't escape your inner world. You cannot avoid it, no matter how put together you want to appear like on the outside. It's like um yeah, like even generally there's like a belief that every Indian TFAS student would ask, is like a to be student would ask, is I do meditations, I do chakra healing, and why not? Why should I do them? It's like you sit there like hours together trying to call on peace and joy, but you're not the belief that you're holding on to. So it's almost like you're sitting with the false belief itself. And mm, and when I'm writing the meditation, um it's like I cannot do it without God. It's like your inner world cannot be done without God. And that, I feel like that's exactly what the mirror exercise does. It's like you're going at every step of God inside, and then like that's how clear and you're like sincere in your in your process, in your healing. And it's so obvious that how the like if you avoid, suppose you did avoid going through all the 4 steps, you will know that like your reality will reflect, or you're still feeling bad, that you haven't done the process, you haven't healed completely. There's a I feel like God is foolproof, it's so clear. And yeah, uh, there's like a difference in what the meditations feel like for me. And even if it's like a simple word, sometimes I write and I'm asking God, and God's like, yeah, go ahead, write that, even if it sounds, I don't know, like rough or um like crude. He's like, go ahead. But the feeling I have inside those words is what creates the meditation, like the feeling inside. So I can see like that's again the same thing, like the mirror exercise. The feeling is inside, no matter what the external looks like. So yeah, that's what I felt.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing more about your process. I didn't really know that that's what the process was like for you. Like you actually write it out and move through those feelings. Like I think we experience that too. Like if we're doing a video of some kind, or like giving ourselves in some way, like through our life purpose or whatever, we definitely need to like stay on top of our inner work, right? We can't ever not do our inner work. So whatever it is that we're giving is always going to have that foundation of peace, because that's what we choose, and that's what this work is for. It's for peace, right? So yeah, like we're basically redefining everything, like even meditations. Like I think in the past I felt the same way like Marley did. Like I was like, what is this? Like, what are we doing now? I'm like talking to like a purple elephant. Like, what's the purpose of this, right? Like, what's going on? But now I feel like I understand meditation more. Like I understand the purpose for it more because I'm receiving divine meditations for the purpose of God from Rev T and anyone else who's doing this work. So it's really nice. Nice support.
To your divine marriage meditations as well. It feels very healing. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I wanted to touch upon is like what you guys were talking about. Like you can't really create if you're not feeling peaceful. You haven't done your inner work. It's like you're like hitting a wall. Like you can't. Like all these things go wrong. Yeah, so like going back to the house analogy, like you I don't know, like for me, like when my house is like a mess or something's a mess, I'm just like, it's just on my mind and I can't really like create stuff. I can't really do my work as well as I could because like there's like a part of my consciousness or like part of my house, like in the physical really, that just needs to be loved before I can move forward. And yeah, thought that was cool.
Yeah. And I just read a comment from Chrissy that really feels good with what we're talking about right now. It says, yes, hold on to the peace as you move through any upheaval that arises, following your healing with the mirror exercise. Continue to choose your peace. And as Keely said, reaffirm your choices within your consciousness. It's a dance. Allow your heart to always lead. Amen. I love that. Yeah, I really do feel that dance. It's like you're also, I kind of feel like it's like swimming or something, like a fish. Like you're kind of like going with the flow, right? Like with the flow of the current, and you're like, okay, how is this feeling? We'll go check on this part of me. Oh, something's coming up over here. Okay, well, there's this thing that's popping up. But like the whole time you're in a flow, right? You're like a fish just doing its thing. And that flow is the peace within you that you've chosen at your core by doing this work. Something else that came up when Rev T was talking about how she like isn't allowed to send the meditations unless they're like coming like complete, like the healing has been complete within her. That just made me like laugh inside because I was thinking like, well, yeah, like we as a like community, as a consciousness, like we've chosen such like a high level of peace together, right? Such a high level of healing. So it's just natural that whenever we're doing work, volunteering, like in the church, that is always going to be the standard, right? And so it's like it's an ascension tool. Like working here is an ascension tool. Volunteering for the church is an ascension tool because as a consciousness, we've chosen that. We've chosen ascension. So naturally, like your skills and anything that you do will be like refined as you work here, right? And your just like your working habits are going to be refined, and what you give as your gifts, they're going to be refined like a diamond. It's pretty cool.
I can attest to that. Yeah, like I've been volunteering for like, I don't know, like 2 years. And I've gotten just so good at like tuning into like my creativity and like channeling like art or design from God. Like I got so good at it because like this community really helped me refine it and like really like connect with that part of myself that was always there, but really, yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. Volunteer for the church.
I'll attest to that too. Yeah. I feel like I've,
Yes.
in a way, sort of have the opposite of Marley. Like creativity and like being in that flow has always been fairly easy for me, but discipline and like focus and like method, that's really tricky for me. And wow, has the church, like volunteering for the church, that's really like come up and been really good. Like I've learned a lot, and still continue to. I agree. It's a great spot to learn and grow. And I'll also just put a little plug out there. If there are any musicians that are interested in volunteering for the church, let us know. You'll learn a lot.
Amen. Yeah, I agree completely. So does anyone else have anything to say about the sermon that stuck out to them? How are the comments doing? I can't actually check anymore. It disappeared.
Nothing new yet, but
Okay.
comment if you want to talk about something, and feel free to. Yeah.
Yeah, what was the part that stuck out to you the most, Marley? Like what hit home for you?
For me, it was when like Deanna was talking about like you're divine. Like I forget exactly what she said. I should have written it down, but yeah, like nothing can really, like, those bad thoughts or the ego thoughts, those aren't you. And yeah, like I've been working through that a lot lately. Like this sermon has been really perfect for like what I've been healing, and like our group coaching, like you helped me like through this more, and like I've been like coming to understand in a deeper way, like there's always peace, there's always like God, and you're always divine. Yeah, it's making me a little emotional, but
Yeah, it's okay.
yeah,
This could be a healing discussion, right?
yeah. Yeah, my phone just went off. It's like I feel like you can let ego take you away from your peace, but like that's you can never really be taken away from peace.
So it's also about like understanding how powerful your mind is, right? Your phone's blowing up. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Power is a big thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I choose to recognize my power.
Good.
I've also like been like feeling more into like the like Black Lives Matter movement, and like one of the major issues, one of the major blocks is the feeling of powerlessness for everyone. Like Black people feeling powerless, and white people thinking their power is going to be taken away, and yeah, but that's all an illusion. And it's because we're all powerful, we're all divine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's a huge thing to know, right? Like changes your life, like when you know that you're powerful and that you have the ability to create your reality. It's a huge. Yeah. very freeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you were imagining your whole life that you're like in chains, but they were never there.
Right. Yeah, I even have days like that where I'm like, I feel like there's like a cloud or like just like some heaviness up here, and I'm just like, I see differently. And then I take some time and feel my feelings, and I'm like, oh, there was that. Okay. Let it go. And then all of a sudden it's like I open my eyes and I'm like in a different world. Like I see everything differently. Just in like a few minutes.
I experienced that too. Yep.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. It's cool. Like you could go from having a really bad day to having a really good day in just a few minutes. That's how powerful your mind is.
Mm-hmm. And even literally seeing colors more brightly.
Yeah.
And like,
yep.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, like, yeah, I totally agree. There's been moments where I'm like, did someone turn on the lights brighter? Like, why are the lights brighter? Yeah.
Yeah. Like even like you start feeling like you're glowing. Like you look in the mirror like, wow, I look so much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's why like your feelings are so important, which is what Chrissy was really pointing out. Like let your heart lead, because you'll know when there's a misalignment in your mind when you're feeling bad, right? Like your feelings are the map way towards your deeper peace and clarity. So it just takes, some just time with yourself to figure out what's going on that moment throughout your day. Maybe it's a lot of time with yourself, or maybe it's just a few minutes, whatever feels good.
Yeah, I realized like it feels really good to just take that time, like, because I haven't really done that in my life. Like it is like a meditation, kind of just like just being able to sit with yourself and not without any distractions. Like I have to turn my phone off and close my computer and just like, okay, it's okay to be with myself. It's okay to feel the feelings here. And yeah, that's
How
what
are
I
you
talked
feeling
about.
now?
What?
How are you feeling now?
I do feel like a lot less like pressure was in me.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, just like feels just really seeing like sadness and like fear of being with myself.
Yeah. It's safe to release that sadness and the fear. Is it scary to be with yourself?
No, it's a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to find any evil Marley inside.
Yeah, that's been a thing I've been working on, like seeing myself as divine always.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a bad child of God.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no such thing as separation or evil at all, right?
Yeah.
So your mind isn't evil, right? You don't have to like fight your mind. Make sure it's doing the right thing. Be perfect mind. No, you can trust that your mind is one with the divine.
Yeah, I choose to trust that.
Yeah, what really stuck out to me in the sermon was when Dan was talking about how the mind is not just in our heads, it's in our whole body. And how, when you're able to make that shift and think about yourself just more than your thoughts and your thought experience, and really like integrate that whole body perspective into your view of yourself and how you interact with the world, you're really able to just see yourself so much more clearly. And then like you can let go of that battle that you think you're fighting with evil or separation, and you can just kind of like relax into your healing work and allow yourself to just fully integrate whatever it is that you're working on, because you're already whole, right? You don't have to like achieve that wholeness or get to some other state of being. You just connect with all of the parts of you, and the parts of you that feel sad or feel left out, you can just love them there and really allow that, that wholeness to just be your reality, because it is.
Yeah, I like to think of your mind as like your consciousness. Like when I think of consciousness, it feels like a bigger, more complete thing. Like it's like all of you. And I'm doing this because I feel like I'm like out here, like I'm not just like in here. Like I feel, you have like an auric field and whatnot. I'm not too familiar about that stuff, but I can feel that like energy coming out.
Yeah, it's expansive. It's God. Yeah, it's God's consciousness there.
How are you feeling now, Marley?
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot more relaxed because I'm always nervous in front of people. Yeah, like, and I was also thinking about like how like your body is part of your mind too, like how like your body really tells you like, hey, like something's up, like if you're having a headache or your stomach bug, like, or if you're like just have your shoulders tense or your brow furrowed, like,
Just did that myself.
Yeah.
Safe to like relax and feel through what your body is showing you, because it's part of your mind, which is really cool, part of your consciousness.
Yeah, it's all one. I love how we're like coming to this conclusion right now, like at the end of our discussion, like kind of the little dance, and now we're here, like just recognizing it's all one. Our whole being is one being. So yeah, feels good. Feels complete there. Christina said, "This is such a beautiful discussion. Thank you guys." Aw. And yeah, thanks, Christina. Maite said, "Thank you, Marley, for sharing yourself. I can relate with your feelings. I choose to trust that my mind is divine." Yeah, it's beautiful. Charlie said, "One of the things I'm realizing with the service today is that I never need to leave my union with God, because it is safe to love God and maintain yourself there. In truth, peace. There is when you find your power, no matter what happens on the outside. You can honor the truth and practice the perfection of the truth on the outside, like cleaning the house, for example, because you are loving God there. You are honoring the perfection of who you are." Yeah, very nice. And Annie says, "The power of mind." Yeah.
Yes.
Another thing I was thinking of when we were talking about like your body is the mind is like when Kieran was sharing about how like with autism, like you feel like you're just like a mind and you don't really have a body, and that's like very ungrounding and very like you're so just feel very disconnected from like the physical world and like from God. And yeah, like sometimes I do feel like that if I'm like anxious, and it's really good to ground into like your full self and not try to like escape that way.
Right. Totally.
Yeah, when I think of the mind, I think of information exchange and like how we perceive the world around us. And you have your senses, your eyes and your mouth and your nose and your ears. And you know, what the body does is it really gives you the ability to perceive vibration. Your heart will actually pick up, you know, vibrational frequencies of other beings in the environment and other things. And when you sensitize yourself to your body, you're able to actually perceive your environment to a much greater degree than when you're just perceiving with the traditional five senses. So when you really start to integrate your body into your life and in your way of being, you're opening yourself up to just a whole world of vastness with God and the ability to perceive things on such a deeper level. And it's just such a fulfilling way to live, to be able to just be around all of that love.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was actually talking to a coworker about this like a week or so ago, and they're sharing about like how she was reading these like diaries of an author, and how the author just was so able to focus in on like the beauty and like everything around her. There's like it was basically like she saw the God in everything, and that's like we kind of like avoid that sometimes, or we kind of don't see that all the time if we're like rushing, or like I don't know, like we it's good to like take that pause and really like recognize like the beauty around us, and take that in. And yeah, like I love like movies where they like focus in on like a raindrop, and it's just like so epically beautiful, but it's such a small thing. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I love that. One thing, this just keeps coming up for me, so I need to share it. So, like, if you're ever feeling like you have a lot of energy in your mind and your head, like you have a headache or something, you can make the choice to allow your crown chakra to open and release that energy. And I think that was from Jeff and Shaleia in a class or something. Yeah, so that helps me, like, if I'm ever just feeling like my head is just, there's just a lot going on up there. Maybe I'm like working and I've like worked a lot or something, or but it's also depending on the situation. Like, let's say you're feeling kind of high after this discussion and you're like maybe having a headache or something afterwards. You can also make the choice to remain in that high, like at your core, because like you've actually raised your vibration, so it's safe to remain at that high in your core, and you don't have to resist it. So sometimes I feel like I'm resisting the higher vibrations, and it gets like clogged up there, or something. So you can just like let it flow, let the higher vibrations flow through you. That was also from a class. Just some tips. Yeah.
Yeah, I find myself doing that too sometimes, where I'm like I just fall. Like I think it's like an unsustainable high, but like it's okay to feel that and integrate that, because like we're always ascending, and like especially during like conversations like these, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't have to resist your growth.
Yeah.
Cool. Does anyone else have anything to share? Any other feelings, thoughts, Repti?
No, just that I was experiencing this right now. So thank you for that. That's very valuable.
You're welcome.
I was just gonna say, it's interesting to have that feeling, that peaceful high, because it's different than like a drug high or like a high you get from something external. And I'll just say for me, it's taken a while to trust that like the peaceful high is safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I've done the other, and it's not good. And so trusting the peaceful high is safe, and also like learning like grounding. Like I wonder if you could talk about that peaceful high and grounding, because it feels like a grounding force, and yet it's kind of a high. So like, what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like when it's peaceful, it's because you're grounded in that high, if that makes sense. Like you're like your foundation has raised, like your vibrational foundation has raised. So it's not coming from I want to like artificially raise my vibration, but still I'm down here. So you've actually just raised your foundational vibration. So it's peaceful and you're not reaching.
Yeah, I feel like a big difference is like like Keely's talking about, it's like about whether or not you're attaching to the high and you're making like the high the point of your healing, whether or not that high is actually just a natural result of your healing, and you're just enjoying that process. You're enjoying the high, you're enjoying being with God there, and you're just living your life, and that's like a part of it in this moment, right? And what will feel bad is when you start to attach to that high and you start to make that high the goal of your healing and of your work.
Yeah, exactly.
Try to make the high God, basically.
Right.
Instead of just going to God and feeling really good. Feeling high, but feeling a good high.
Yeah, and just enjoying that experience as it flows through you, right?
Right. Interesting. Maybe we need a different word for it. You know? It's like...
Or you can reclaim the word. Take it back.
Yes. Because it's like a juicy piece. Instead of like feeling, I don't know, I have to think about that.
Right, yeah, you're at peace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let it happen. Don't control it. Just allow it to flow through you. And with that, we will end our lovely live discussion. Thank you all for coming, commenting, and watching. And the after church tea time will be on next week as well. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Good to see you, FT.